Welcome to the Missouri Liberty Alliance. Today is Friday, August 20th, 2021. Hey there, gang. I got a strike on the last video, the last live stream we did 2 nights ago. We talked about Governor Parsons and this, and separation of very small people inside government government education buildings over this. And I got a strike. It says medical misinformation. Now, because it was my very first strike, it was a warning. I'm going to fight it. I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, I'm getting tired of censorship. So we're going to talk today's. By the way, I don't do these standalone videos very often because I actually prefer the interactivity that I have with you guys. But we need to talk about 1984 by George Orwell, because it's a favorite book of mine. As far as, let's say, nonfiction, because I believe this is a non-fictional book. Also, we'll talk about The Brave New World by Aldous Huxley and Animal Farm by George Orwell. These are all really good books. I highly recommend all of them. To anyone who has never read them before, I have this to say. In our culture, in the United States and in the West, and I believe even in the East, and I'll give you an example why I say the East, we have this insatiable desire to know the outcomes of things, to know the future, to know how events are going to transpire in our favor so we can position ourselves to be better off. That's what prepping is all about, really, is not having to rely on other people for what your needs are. So homesteading and prepping go hand in hand. And Travis is the best guy to talk to you about that on the Prepared Homestead. There's many others too, but what I think the desire is based on basically general welfare outcome and financial outcome. But one thing that not a lot of people try to really do is predict, the direction and the speed at which the politics in the West is sliding into communism. Now, because now you have a tinfoil wearing hat. So I want to talk about YouTube, which is owned by Google, which is owned by Alphabet, and Alphabet is a CIA front company. Now, this shouldn't shock you. This is easily findable information. The 2 men that actually started Google were recruited by the CIA out of college. And then an umbrella corporation was put up immediately. That's Alphabet Inc. Alphabet Inc. Get it, guys? CIA, Alphabet Inc. Yeah, they're not very original. And then they put Google right underneath it because they knew they were going to start other corporations as well. CIA front companies have been around for a long time, guys. But YouTube was purchased by Google, and so what we're going to talk about is how YouTube and the Ministry of Truth from the book 1984 are the same entity. Okay, so let's talk about the 4 ministries. And I'm going to make this short. I'm trying to make shorter videos, but I have recently found out through a series of scientific studies, analysis, and observation that it's not possible for me to do a short video for some reason. So let's go quickly. In George Orwell's 1984, the 4 ministries are the Ministry of Truth, the Ministry of Peace, the Ministry of Plenty, and the Ministry of Love. Okay, and since this is a brand new copy of the book, because I can't find my original copy, and I think I did loan it to someone and I never got it back, let me talk to you about the ministries, because actually I studied that back when I was a teenager, by the way. I first read this book when I was in 7th grade. So, fun fact. Also, Animal Farm I read in 5th grade. And I'm 50 years old. Well, I'm 1 month shy of being 50. Brave New World, I actually didn't read that until I was 32. I didn't know about that book. So let's talk about the ministries really quick. Ministry of Peace is actually the Department of Never-Ending War. Okay, we're talking about doublethink and doublespeak. These are concepts we'll get to in the next video when I do a book about 1984 again. The Ministry of Plenty is literally the Ministry of Resources, controlling resources or artificial scarcity. Ministry of Love is actually the Ministry of Torture. That's how they actually take care of political dissidents in the book 1984 by George Orwell. But the Ministry of Truth is actually propaganda, the Ministry of Propaganda. So when someone does a video on YouTube and it goes against the narrative of the federal government, more specifically the New World Order, they get a strike. They get shut down. It doesn't even matter if it's opinion, or you could say it's an opinion piece, and they'll say, "Well, you're wrong. You're spreading wrong information." Well, it's my opinion. It's the opinion of virologists, epidemiologists, doctors, surgeons, nurses. That something that the government is saying is wrong, and it's, well, the government's right. All the others are wrong. They'll be deplatformed. Well, not only deplatform, we'll assassinate their characters, and if necessary, worse, to stop the spread of that information that goes against the narrative. Well, YouTube is a platform that actually censors a lot of things that people should know. Now, I like guitars. Many people who know me know that about me. They don't censor guitar videos. But if you do a video about this, it gets censored. Very quickly. Very, very quickly. It doesn't matter what facts you bring to the table, because if you bring facts, it'll go against the narrative, because the narrative is filled with propaganda. There's very, very little press. That's the weird part about it, is usually government likes to put 80% truth in and 20% lies. That's the way they do things, to get propaganda going and to get people to believe it. It's because, well, most of this is true, so that other part's got to be true too. And of course, we as humans don't look into things. We don't research things. We don't dig and try and find what the truth is anymore. We require a box in front of us to tell us what the truth is. Well, what the truth is not as subjective as you may think. Chemistry, science, physics have specific laws that prevent things from being untrue. But the thing is we don't rely on that anymore, because those who know the laws that make up, basically whether or not something is true or untrue in science, doesn't exist anymore, because people who want to talk about the laws of physics and how something can or cannot happen, and it goes against a narrative, they lose their channel. They get deplatformed. The video gets taken down, whatever. And that's how YouTube has become the Ministry of Truth, from our book, 1984. Now, our protagonist, Winston, actually worked in the Ministry of Truth. Winston was the main character in the book. He worked for the Ministry of Truth, and he knew that he was editing the news to make it false. And that goes into doublethink. He literally was able to convince himself that the lies that he was putting in the newspaper were true. I don't think that's going on here with YouTube. I think there's more of a narrative here where, basically if you say something that goes against the World Health Organization per se, let's say you've got actual chemists, virologists or epidemiologists that say the World Health Organization is wrong, this is not the way it works, this particular test that has initials of P, C, R don't actually work for this particular thing, then you simply lose your platform. You can't speak anymore. That's a very interesting turn of events. Well, we shouldn't be surprised, though, because this book was a predictor of the future. George Orwell even said so when he wrote the book. This was a warning to the West, because he was watching Russia. Even though he was a self-admits socialist. He was a socialist, George Orwell, by the way. Didn't mean he wasn't. He didn't believe in communism. He believed in socialism. But what he was learning, and later on in life, is that socialism very quickly slides into communism. It always goes that way. It's human nature. It's the nature of government. And government does not give up its power. That's why you have to be very wary of any powers that the government has, and you have to keep them at bay. This is what we've done here in the state of Missouri, and we're being attacked viciously right now by the Department of Justice, by St. Louis County and the city of St. Louis over the Second Amendment Preservation Act right here in Missouri, because we have just taken our power back for all things having to do with the right to bear arms, which is a natural right. The Constitution even acknowledges it's a natural right. But the problem is doublethink in society. There are people that literally think that common sense gun reform is a good thing. Common sense gun laws Good thing. Because yeah, we do need to control weapons. We do need to, control, basically people's access to weapons. We have to control whether or not, if people have had, something in their history, they can't touch a weapon anymore. We need to control all this stuff because, people kill people with weapons. I will remind you, and by the way, it's not anyone on this channel that would disagree with my assessment of what, weapons are, why we have them. And I don't want to go into it in this video because I really want to talk about 1984. But the reason we have a right to self-defense is because it's part of God's law. Whether you believe in God or not, people who don't believe in God will call it natural law. You have a right to defend yourself. But the biggest killer of populations over the history of this planet is democide, which is government killing off its own people. And I'm not going to equate that to this on this video. I won't do that. But I will say it was predicted in 1984. And I want you guys to know that YouTube has become the ministry of truth. They're part of it. They're certainly part of the CIA because Alphabet Inc. is CIA. Google is CIA, so YouTube is probably CIA as well. And we know this. We accept it. We don't talk about it very much anymore because it's just a fact. And I doubt that YouTube will suppress that. It's very easily found information on platforms they don't control. So I just wanted to say that's what happened to the last video. It's disappeared because the Ministry of Truth has determined that there was something that went against the World Health Organization's narrative in that video. Now, I don't have time to do this right now, but I will be going through that video and I will be contesting YouTube's findings on my video that I was pushing medical misinformation on that video, or anyone that was participating was doing it. I don't think that was the case. We were certainly given opinions on Parsons wanting to divide, the small people in the government indoctrination centers based on this status. That was there. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We talked about that. But at any rate, I just wanted to, it's time for us to start doing a dissection of this book because this is exactly what's happening in today's society, especially in the West. And Missouri needs to avoid this. Now, I know that the rest of the Western world is falling. Australia, gone. New Zealand, gone. England and Scotland are falling very quickly. The Commonwealth, Canada. But there's other nations too. France is falling. They're all falling to this. The same concept you'll find in the book 1984. Whether the threat is real or imagined is irrelevant to this discussion. The fact is, the government is literally taking control of everyone's lives. Totally taking control. And if you don't agree, and if you don't like, there's some nasty things coming for you in the future, according to this book, 1984. We've seen policemen beat women to an inch of their lives in the state of Australia, the country of Australia, for not wearing one of these in a public park while they were walking a dog with no one around. We've seen this. We've seen that in India, too. So sociopaths and psychopaths, sign up for government jobs. If you really want to beat people from within an inch of their life and it makes you happy, believe me, there'll be a job for you in the near future working for the government. But at any rate, that's pretty much all I had to say. I wanted to keep it short. Okay. Travis's meeting coming up Sunday. Remember now, we are having a drawing for 10 Silver Eagles. 10 Silver Eagles will be in the drawing. But also a week's worth of Patriot Pantry food, a week's supply for one person of Patriot Pantry food. Retail value $90 will also be in the drawing, and I'm throwing something in too, me and Jimmy with the Missouri Liberty Alliance. We have brand new t-shirts, our very first run of t-shirts for our organization. We'll have one of those up in the drawing as well. And it doesn't matter what you put your ticket in the box for, everything's only $1 a chance. We want to make sure that everyone can get a chance to win some of these wonderful items. So please do come to the meeting on Sunday. We're expecting, Travis is expecting a lot of folks. So if you can, please bring some chips or something else where you can, help participate. There will be food there. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be a lot of food there, but there's also going to be a lot of folks there. So if you want to, please bring something. I think that's the way Travis has always done it in the past. I didn't talk to him before I made this video, so I suspect that he'd be okay with me saying that. It's just there's a lot of folks probably coming. So basically the food there, basically is kind of part of the deal. So let's see. Other than that, yep, the T-shirt, the new T-shirts are coming. So we'll have one of those up for drawing as well, and also we'll whatever T-shirts we do have will be for sale as well. It'll be $20 a T-shirt. You guys will. I don't have them to show you right now. Jimmy's picking them up today. So otherwise, that's about it. I think that covers everything. This is the first of many videos I'll be doing on 1984. We're going to dissect this, and I'll turn it into shorts. So we'll have literally just a few minute videos covering a very small section of 1984 and then transposing it to the United States government or Western governments, in some cases Missouri government, unfortunately. So like I said, we air out our dirty laundry in Missouri. That's how you get rid of the darkness, is by shining light on it. And that's what we're going to do here in Missouri, and while maintaining all Christian values. Okay, gang, that's all I have for you right now. I'm hoping to get one more video out for Travis's meeting on Sunday. Until then, may God bless each and every one of you and every member of your family. Take care, gang.